Salakia, Israel. Just give me a second, okay? Okay, bear with me. I'm almost done. When I say it's work, I had to reboot a system for a client. Give me a second. Salakia.
Hey King, if you want me to fill in for you, just let me know if you need
Okay,
to.
fine. Yeah,
How much time you need?
yeah, about a few more minutes.
Okay, no problem. Shalom, 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 family. Yazayan, how are you doing, King? You in the house? Testing one,
Shalom,
two.
Shalom, Elder. Shalom, Elder.
Shalom, King. How you doing?
I'm all right.
Oh, praises. You reading tonight?
Yeah.
All praises. So since the brother is a little tied up, we're gonna just um just go through some scriptures on Where we are right now, I guess most people would look at the news and see all of the things going on. Even a lot of the news headlines, you know, um, predicting World War III. And as the scripture tells us, that's the last war. After that, based on the scriptures, the Most High Hashar, they're gonna be doing their thing. So it's a major thing that's happening right now. Hold 1 second, Shalaki. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, I'm getting some feedback on my stuff. Testing 1 2. Okay, can you hear me, Yazian?
John, I hear you. I'm ready when you're ready.
Oh, you're back. Okay, all praises.
Yeah, yeah. It was just a man. These phone systems, man. They be malfunctioning.
No problem. Go ahead, King. You got it.
All right. Salakia, Israel. Sorry about that. All right, so let's get this started. So we all know about this. We all know um about Mother's Day and about how everything is. So let me get started. All right. So again, hello everyone. I am Brother Hashar Namar. Before I begin, I'd like to give all praises to Yahweh by Shema Mashak Yahushai and double honors to the elders of HOI, Elder Zabak, Elder Torah, Elder Sabal, and to Deacon Showerpar and the Captain Ariala, and to all the senior men and men who was putting in this work. I'd like to say Shalom and Shalom and Shamar. All right. Yeah, my voice is all messed up, so bear with me, Israel. All right. So as we all know, this class is on Mother's Day Rebuke. Why are we rebuking Mother's Day? We don't like the moms out there? No, that's not it. Are we hating on these holidays because mothers are being celebrated and us men want women to stop being masculine? We want no, there's none of that stuff. All right. That's all folly. All right. So we're going to get into it. So Israel, sorry about that. Okay. Israel, how are we doing this evening? Tonight's topic again is going to be our favorite holiday by society, and now is being propagandized, the notorious Mother's Day. All right. The irony behind this holiday is insane. Okay. And tonight we will get into it, how it has came from Egypt, its pagan custom, but more notorious Salakia is saying tonight. So we're going to get into it. I will discuss the true origins of this holiday. However, I will take you on a little ride and not Little Miss Riding Hood or Little Miss Red Riding Hood, okay? And like I said, if you dip into that story, that is a grotesque story about that little girl. Anyway, and and that story itself. But I will show you all about the daughters of Esau, okay, aka the white woman, and how she is delusional and a manipulator as well, and should never be considered motherly. That is a slap in the face that a so-called white woman, okay, we all know her, Anna Maria Jarvis, okay, her mother was Ann Jarvis. We're going to get all into it, and happened to be from West Virginia, but resided in Philly. So her name is like in a couple parks and stuff in Philadelphia. All right. But before we consider these white women motherly, all right, we're going to just speak on three white women throughout history. And you're going to ask yourself, how was these women later on projected as Mother's Day? All right. So what we want to do is we're going to get into the cunningness, the understanding of Esau and Jacob. So let me get the book of Genesis, chapter 25, verse 27. Because again, we're going to talk about this. I'm not just going to jump into Mother's Day, but we're going to talk about white women for a minute. You know what I'm saying? We're going to give them their due diligence right now. So let me get the book of Genesis, chapter 25, verse 27. Baba Kishar.
Kind of threw me off a little bit. Then somebody killed them, they due diligence. uh,
Oh,
I
yeah.
had to process what you said.
Hey,
uh,
man. We're going to get all up into the daughters of Esau. Pause. All right.
this is Genesis 25 and 27. And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man, and dwelling in the tents.
Kind. So we all know what that is, but we explain it to you Christians and to the layman's term. Okay. So Esau was a cunning hunter, which basically he he knows and learns to know. So that means he's self-taught. Okay. Other words, he's a slick person. All right. You know, everybody say street smarts and stuff. Well, he's slick. And we all know what happened to dudes in the streets, right? Now, Jacob was playing. That means he was complete. He has integrity. Where did he get all this from? Well, other words, the laws was passed down through him. Okay. Remember, Adam had, the breath of life breathed into his nostrils. Okay. And that's the beginning line of where we get the Jacob, and stuff like that. Right. So there was a line, and we are that line. Okay. So basically, because he was going to be and was one of the chosen seed. Okay. And is. Okay. So I just figured I'd bring that scripture out because, again, we can get into the Mother's Day, but people need to understand you can't put no, what they call them, Karen. I like to call them Becky. You can't put no Becky on no pedestal. This is a evil, wicked person. Okay. For some reason, all you sports guys can't get that. Y'all just got to grab a Becky. All right. While they slowly putting transmission fluid in your Kool-Aid and putting rat poison in your cake. All right. So let's get into it. So basically, scroll down and get my notes. All right. So my first point, all right, we all know that white women were slave owners. Guess the percentage of white women were slave owners. Around 40% of slave owners is white women. That's almost half. Now we all take history. We all do reconstruction of the United States. What did the white woman say? She is such a delusional woman. She said, and I quote, they say this all the time, man, slavery was bad. We felt just like we were slaves. We were second class citizens. We couldn't do nothing. We just had to go make tea and sit there while our husbands was out in the field. What was they doing out in the field? All right. So let me get into this first video, okay? Salakia, get to this first video real quick. Okay, let me share it.
Did you hold on? Say what you just said again. You said why their husband be out there in the field. What you mean?
Well, that's what they make it seem like. They make it seem like that during slavery, their husbands or their nephews, their uncles was all out in the field with us, making sure we work, and they was in the house making Kool-Aid and making the beds and doing all this other stuff. If you listen to some of these white women talk about when slavery was happening, how they thought and how they considered themselves just like slaves, they considered themselves second-class citizens. it's documented throughout history that certain white women said basically they wanted to be the so-called white man. They wanted all that power. But as you can see, statistics don't lie. Over 40% of white women own slaves. So what are y'all talking about? Y'all were second-class citizens. Y'all was almost like a slave. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. All right, so let me get this. This will explain it. All right, now this is the women that started Mother's Day. Let's get into it.
White women played an active and forceful role in the slave trade. They bought, sold, managed, and sought the return of enslaved individuals which they considered valuable property. Owning many enslaved people made a woman more attractive for marriage. After getting married, white women often went to court to secure the legal ownership.
Oh, Shalaki.
Roman readers of lucid chart.
So close to a breakthrough, I can feel it. We just need a way to put all our heads together.
Comes a new anytime, anywhere journey of collaboration and
Second.
White women.
All right. Yeah, I hit the wrong button. Shalaki, everybody. I'm gonna start it over. Here we go.
Played an active and forceful role in the slave trade. They bought, sold, managed, and sought the return of enslaved individuals which they considered valuable property. Owning many enslaved people made a woman more attractive for marriage. After getting married, white women often went to court to secure the legal ownership of enslaved people, often winning against their husbands. Yes, that's right. Many people are aware that George Washington owned enslaved individuals at his Mount Vernon residence. However, not as many might realize that his wife, Martha, played a significant role in increasing the number of enslaved people there. When they got married in 1759, George might have owned about 18 people, but Martha, who was quite wealthy, owned 84. And while owning a large number of enslaved individuals like Martha did might seem uncommon, the idea of her owning them is not unusual. What am I trying to say? Historians have estimated that 6 to 7 million enslaved people were imported during the 18th century alone. These slaves had very few rights. It's like how there are rules in many societies to prevent cruelty to animals. Similarly, there were also rules about how much mistreatment a slave could endure. As adults, white women sometimes separated black women from their own babies so that these black women could breastfeed the white mistress's child instead. To make this happen, white women posted lots of ads in newspapers to find enslaved wet nurses to feed their own babies. This created a big market for black women who had recently given birth. White women also fought hard to keep the wealth and unpaid work that slavery brought them, even during the Civil War. As unions...
God, I said on that. So I wanted you guys to see that because it's horrific the stuff that they done to us. And for us to even sit there and want to follow a white woman who created who is part of the holiday Mother's Day is insane. All right. So now this is why they are not motherly. This is why they are not mothers. They're wicked. All right. I want you to guys see how wicked they are. I know some of you may know, but you may not know. So let's get a scripture talking about white women. So let's go to Matthew chapter 14, verse 6 through 8. Baba Kusha.
This
Oh,
the
let's yeah, Book of Matthew, chapter 14, verses 6 through 8.
this is the book of Matthew, chapter 14, starting at verse 6. When you have it, say, "Come."
Good.
But when Herod's birthday was kept, the daughter of Herodias danced before them and pleased Herod. Whereupon
Herod.
he
Herod.
prom- said again, Salaki.
Yeah, Herod. Herod.
Herod, Salaki. Whereupon he promised with an oath to give her whatsoever she would ask. And she, being before instructed of her mother, said, "Give me here John Baptist, head in a charger."
Con. And skip to verse 10.
Verse 10, and he sent and beheaded John in the prison.
Con. So this was a white woman. All right. And when you get into it, um, like I said, we ain't gonna spend too much time on this, but when you get into who her mother was wicked. So this is a white woman ordering, John the Baptist's head to be cut off, right? And the point is, white women are wicked. How can they create such a giving, loving holiday that allegedly thanks mothers? Herodotus' mother, Bernice, man, this chick was crazy. She was getting dudes hit up to get married, and she was a whole mess, all right, and dangerous as well. She's what you call an opportunist. You know what I'm saying? Like mother, like daughter. So she went ahead and was like, hey, I need you to do this and do that. All right. We got one more example. So I want you guys to take a guess. So hopefully everybody understand that. So in the book of Matthew, it's talking about white people. And she went ahead, it's her birthday, like, hey, I want somebody who wants a man head cut off. This is crazy. On a born day, it doesn't even make any sense. But we out here buying flowers, buying cards, you know what I'm saying, on one day of a year. All right, we're gonna get into how much money Mother's Day made. It's a hustle. And I think believe the most high put a curse on Ann Jarvis because she fought it to the end, to try to stop the holiday. But anyway, so basically, my last example for explaining how horrific these white women are that we, for some reason, keep following. Take a guess who was the America's first serial killer? Yep, you guessed correct. So-called white woman. She was crazy. Now I watched this video. I mean, I heard about this chick. Man, you might get kind of teary-eyed once you start hearing the stuff that she did to our people. And this is in Louisiana. All right, so let me get that video started. Salakia. Now, again, Israel, you just came on. The reason for this, we want to get you guys to understand what a demon that you're dealing with. Yeah, Esau's a man, but his daughters is just as crazy, if not crazier than him. All right. And we keep following these people. Just because the social worker that you working for or you working with is coming in your house, shit, though you can't trust her. She's trying to get your kids. You know what I'm saying? I'm just giving an example of how they always get these jobs where they infiltrate into our communities. You know what I'm saying? If you guys ever had to deal with CPS or any social worker, they always send you that white woman. We grew up in the inner city. Who's your school teachers? Becky. Who's the guidance counselor? She don't know nothing about you. She live in a white neighborhood and bust to the Negroes and thinks she's gonna help you. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I digress. So let me get this next one started. You need to learn, Israel, how wicked they are our enemy. So if you're in a marriage with them, get out. Or go watch the movie Get Out. Go watch that movie. Yeah. Here we go. Daphne LaLaurie. This lady is crazy. Let's get into it.
Killer, one who isn't traditionally remembered as a serial killer per se, despite very much fitting the profile. The exact number of her kill count is not known, Though her exploits indicate that many slaves had indeed died by her hands, most likely in an ominous-sounding room that sat at the top of a two-story mansion. Reports have it that they were found mutilated, butchered, and even experimented on. Like many women of New Orleans history, Madame LaLaurie was a prominent woman who frequented the social scene that was riddled with gossip, rumors, the spilling of political secrets, and endless drama. She was known as a distinguished figure, one who was central to exclusive cocktail parties, private balls, and extravagant galas. Prior to the ghostly crimes that she would go on to commit, LaLaurie was described as being courteous, charming, and intensely beautiful. She was born on March 19th in 1787 with the name Marie Delphine McCarthy to two well-established members of the New Orleans Creole community. Her childhood does not seem to have been significantly documented, but given the status of her parents, we can only assume that she lived quite a comfortable, well-content life. She only begins to really appear in records after her first marriage in the year 1800 to Don Ramon, a high-ranking Spanish royal officer, whom she would travel to Spain with in 1804. Given the dates of her marriage, it would appear that LaLaurie was only 13 years old of the day of her wedding. The marriage wouldn't work out though, and by June 1808, Delphine would marry to a prominent banker, merchant, and lawyer.
Now we see that, right? I'm gonna skip up. Now this chick married to a Spaniard, a conquistador. You know what I'm saying? These guys were crazy as I don't know what. All right. So you just can imagine what he was teaching her. So we're gonna pop up. This is a long video, so we're gonna pop up. Give me a second. Trying to get you guys the juicy parts. All right, here we go.
And mixed descriptions. Harriet Martineau, a British social theorist at the time, described LaLaurie's slaves as being haggard and wretched in appearance, although LaLaurie would seem to treat them with kindness and respect and would be solicitous of their health and needs. Court records even indicate that LaLaurie would have freed two of her slaves. Martineau would continue to write that there were notable rumors in the streets of New Orleans about LaLaurie's abuse of her slaves, and that it had reached such a pinnacle that a local lawyer would be dispatched to investigate. During his investigation, though, the lawyer didn't seem to find anything amiss.
Okay, let's skip up.
Infamous account, one also cited by Martineau, that there was a 12-year-old girl. There appears to be an infamous account, one also cited by Martineau, that there was a 12-year-old girl named Leah who was one day brushing LaLaurie's hair, only to hit a snag. LaLaurie was said to be so infuriated that she grabbed a whip and chased the young slave girl up to the roof. So afraid of being beaten, the young girl was said to try and escape her punishment by leaping from the roof of the Royal Street mansion. Whether or not she had actually leapt to escape her punishment, or because she'd been pushed, or because she'd simply lost her footing, is unknown. But it is a tragedy nonetheless that one woman's anger led a small girl to her demise. The body of Leah was said to be buried on the mansion grounds, but one rumor has it that LaLaurie took the girl's body and simply dumped it in the well. The incident wouldn't go unnoticed though. LaLaurie would be investigated under the allegation that she was illegally enforcing grievous harm upon her slaves. It would force LaLaurie to forfeit 9 of her slaves as a fine for the misconduct, although, most regrettably, these slaves were actually brought back by a relative of LaLaurie and then put straight back to work in the household. LaLaurie wouldn't learn her lesson though, and instead of reflecting on how she could better treat the slaves, she chained the cook to the kitchen stove. It was said that in one instance, her daughters recognized her wrongdoings and tried to free the slaves, but were severely beaten thereafter for their efforts. It wasn't until a fire broke out on April 10th in 1834 did we begin to see just what LaLaurie was hiding. The fire would ruin most of the mansion, and everyone was forced to be evacuated. When the fire marshals got there, however, They found the cook, a 70-year-old woman, who was still tied to the stove by her ankle. She was able to survive the fire, miraculously, and would go on to say that she was the one who had started the fire in the first place, in an attempt to kill herself, because she feared being punished at the hands of Laloli. It was understood that slaves were taken to the uppermost level of the mansion and were then never seen again. It's been noted that bystanders on the day of the fire tried to help out and would try to enter the slave quarters to rescue them. However, Laloli refused to grant them the keys in order to access the room. Therefore, bystanders were forced to burst down the doors themselves, but what they found would have had them backing slowly away. It was a sight none of them could prepare for. 7 slaves, or so they say, who were more or less horribly mutilated, suspended by the neck, limbs stretched and torn, some of which had the palpable stench of death. Amongst those found were slave women wearing iron collars, and an elderly woman who had received a large untreated gash to her head that may have contributed to her inability to walk. A newspaper at the time, known as the New Orleans Bee, stated that all of the victims were found naked, and that those who were not found strapped to tables were instead chained to the walls. It goes on to say that some had their stomachs sliced open, and that their intestines would have been wrapped around their waists. One woman in particular was said to have her mouth wielded open, where feces had been stuffed inside. Her lips were then sewn shut. One man, who was hung in shackles, was said to have a wooden spoon protruding from his head, which had been placed in a hole that had been drilled into his skull. Some say that the use of the spoon was to stir his brains. Other accounts suggest that the slaves had their bones broken numerous times and set in unnatural positions so that they healed incorrectly. One woman was said to have her bones and limbs rearranged so that she moved like a crab. Others were supposedly coated with honey and black ants.
Wow. So these are the people. These are the women that started Mother's Day. Y'all hear that sick account? I don't know if y'all heard of that Daphne chick. Let me just tell you how it ended. She got away. All right. She went to they tried to hunt her down. She caught a ship over to France and she got remarried. Somebody married this crazy white woman again. And allegedly she died going boar hog hunting, and she never turned up again. So y'all heard, had the man the spoon in the head. The man had feces, or the woman had feces in her mouth. You know, she rearranged somebody's body so they can walk like a crab. You know what I'm saying? Sick. But hey, we're gonna follow the white woman. She started Mother's Day. You know what I'm saying? This is Israel. You know what I'm saying? We got to stop with this idolatry. We got to stop with this worshiping these fake ideologies, these fake days and stuff like that. So I just wanted to give you guys a brief synopsis on how wicked the white woman is. And if somebody's mother's white, hey, I'm sorry. At least your daddy's Israel. You know what I'm saying? And if your mother is white, then you probably got some stories or an account about how your mother reacted. And this is them. If 40% of white women own slaves, I mean, come on now. You know what I'm saying? So again, this is crazy. This is crazy. And this is what you marry when you get the daughters of Esau. You know what I'm saying? So you guys can look at this and let's get into this holiday and why we acknowledge our parents every day. You know what I'm saying? Honor their father, honor their mother, and stuff like that, right? So let me get into this first video. Um, Now we're talking about Mother's Day right now. So just to give you guys a quick thing, this is nothing new under the sun. I'm going to go into the last video about where all this stuff come from. Again, Egypt did a number on us. Okay, we're still saying we're Kemet. You got Dr. Umar and Tariq and all these knuckleheads running around. For them to be so smart, I'm like, bro, how can you believe Kemet? You know what I'm saying? Is so much gayness. So let me get this straight. I'm supposed to just take the gayness out, pause, and just be like, oh, this is normal. There's nothing gay about being a Hebrew Israelite. There's nothing strange about being a Hebrew Israelite. So we want you guys to understand, get out of these holidays. It is not for you. I get it. I have children and, I have custody and all this stuff. And they mom's like, oh, well, I want my daughter to do this and I want my son to call me on Mother's Day. I'm like, you're a mother, right? Yes. Okay. So you get honored every day. Why do you need one day out of the year to go ahead and celebrate? All you doing is helping everybody else make all this money. You know what I'm saying? I bought my mom vases and flowers, all this stuff since I was yay big. You know what I'm saying? Cutting grass, helping people with groceries at the grocery store. You know what I'm saying? We used to do all this stuff, right? Because we loved our mother. We loved our father. So again, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into this first video of the rebuke of freaking Mother's Day. So, like I said, if you're just joining up, we just did some videos on the wickedness of these heathens of Esau, these heathen females of Esau, and how wicked they were. And one of them was the number one serial killer in the world, which nobody likes to talk about. But like I say, you guys do your research and stuff, don't take my word for it. All right. So let me get into this first video. All right. Go. Come on, man. Okay. So we're going to go into the first one. It's going to talk about Mother's Day and how it is here. Then we're going to go into, the paganism of the whole holiday and stuff like that. Okay. So I know everybody got stuff they got to do, but um, you can explain this to your counterparts, your family members, that every day is Father's Day, every day is Mother's Day. Yeah, and your days are not each day you hear, Lord willing, you wake up the next morning. Okay. So every day is not granted. You don't wait to the end of a freaking year or 7 months to go, give your grandmother, give your mother, give your father, give your grandfather their flowers. Okay. Because you don't know. You know what I'm saying? All right. So let me get this video started. Give me a second. So I can. All right. I'm going to cut my video off because I don't want to stream for me on here. Do y'all see two of them? No. Okay. Is it two? Let me see. Okay. That was just my screen. So I can. Oh man, give me a second, Salakia. Where did it go?
When we look at Syria,
Salakia, Salakia.
For example, here's a bunch of
Okay.
stuff that I just wrote about.
Give me a second. Yeah, I had somehow I got rid of it. I had to go back to my history. All right, I got it. Here we go. Bear with me, bear with me. All right, here's the first video.
The ancient Greeks were among the first to pay tribute to Mom. Sort of. Their spring festival honored Rhea, the mother of all Greek gods. That holiday didn't pan out. In medieval Britain, servants were given the fourth Sunday of Lent to travel home and spend the day.
Sorry, Clubhouse.
The ancient Greeks were among the first to pay tribute to Mom. Sort of. Their spring festival honored Rhea, the mother of all Greek gods. That holiday didn't pan out. In medieval Britain, servants were given the fourth Sunday of Lent to travel home and spend the day with their moms. This custom was called Mothering Sunday. But the modern era Mother's Day was created by Anna Marie Jarvis. Anna admired her mother, who attended to the wounded during America's Civil War and later became a community activist. When young Anna was 12, it is believed she heard her mother pray that one day there might be a Memorial Day for mothers, for all the good that they do. Young Anna never forgot the prayer, and when her mom died in May of 1905, the plan for a holiday was born. On the second anniversary of her mom's death, Anna held a church memorial dedicated to her mother's good deeds. In May of 1908, Anna held another memorial and handed out white carnations, her mom's favorite flower. She contacted Philadelphia philanthropist John Wanamaker, who joined a Mother's Day committee in hopes of honoring all mothers all across the nation. In 1910, West Virginia became the first state to observe the second Sunday in May as Mother's Day. After a fierce letter-writing campaign, Anna got Congress to federally recognize the holiday. And in 1914, President Wilson signed a bill that officially made the second Sunday in May Mother's Day. The holiday was meant to be spent in church. Afterwards, sons and daughters would write loving letters to their mothers. Carnations were worn that day. Pink or red honored living mothers, and white honored moms who had passed. With each year, more and more Mother's Day carnations were sold. And by 1920, greeting card companies got into the Mother's Day biz. Anna was enraged by what she considered a lazy excuse for letters that should be handwritten. By 1924, the holiday creator was so appalled with the commercialization of Mother's Day that she petitioned to abolish it. In 1930, Anna was arrested for disturbing the peace at a Mother's Day carnation sale. Sadly, Anna spent the rest of her life and family inheritance fighting the holiday. She died in 1948, leaving no children to remember her. Since then, Mother's Day has become one of the most profitable holidays for florists and the phone company's highest volume day of the year.
Gone. So we see clearly, let me get so she fought long and hard. I don't know if you guys know all the history about Ann Jarvis. So I'll just hit you with a little gem. Okay. So the problem with this is that you heard what they said, that her mother was a progenitor of this. She used to help out the Civil War wounded and stuff, bring them. No, Black women was doing that. I can't find it nowhere. I found it like 7-8 years ago. I can't find it now. They get rid of everything. Sometimes you got to go to different research engines. But it was around the same. Black people started Memorial Day and Mother's Day around the same time because of the Civil War. Okay, they was giving our ancestors flowers. They were giving memorials and stuff like that for the wounded. And so the white women went ahead and you heard what they said, she was an activist? Really? In 1850? She was an activist. Okay. All right. If y'all believe that. So they copy, everything is a carbon copy. So we started that. I forget the lady name. It was one lady in Georgia named Susie. She started it as well. But the women up north, they started it too. Even though the lady was from West Virginia, but she had Philadelphia ties. And again, contrary to popular belief, there were slaves in Pennsylvania, at least 200. And we worked for who? The Quakers, and amongst, doing house duties and stuff like that. People keep thinking there wasn't no slaves in New York, and yeah, there were slaves up there. You know what I'm saying? They had limited duties, mostly like, they wasn't like the South, okay? Because it's cotton and tobacco and stuff down here, okay? So again, they took the ideas of our people and put it and made a holiday called Mother's Day. Ain't no way in the world you can convince me some white woman was out there doing that. Stop playing. She has 6 kids. Like the woman had 6 kids. So you know she was rich. And these philanthropists, John Wanamaker, he had a store in Philadelphia. It was like Sears or like Macy's and stuff like that. They all about the same time. John Wanamaker, Macy's, it's old stores, old money. Woolworth, all of them dudes started the same around the same time. Some of them died off because the Most High killing them. All praises. So this white woman, you want me to believe she started this? She was out there passing out flowers with 6 kids. So who was watching the kids? I'm just saying. So we can't keep holding these people accountable. So let me get a scripture debunking this about how we supposed to be, treating our fathers and our mothers. Let me get the book of Exodus, chapter 20, verse 12. All right. So let me just read this real quick. During the Civil War, Black women played significant roles. They raised money for regimental flags, developed resistance strategies to challenge enslavement, and cared for the sick and wounded in charnel houses. They also cultivated and designed flowers to beautify their spaces, spread joy to loved ones, and honor the dead. I say this to say Ann Jarvis saw this and Carby copied it and did the same thing for her people. And now she is the poster person for starting this. You know what I'm saying? So, and that was from AI. AI came up with that. I didn't come up with that, you know. Um, so again, yeah, AI is gonna it's gonna just it's doing bad things for the white man. I don't even know why they even made that a thing. Because that thing be telling the truth, and a lot of people don't believe it. They probably gonna go in there and edit some things. So again, this is what our women were doing. Our women were spies. Our women were scouts. Let's talk about that. We have famous singers who was spies and stuff like that. I think they got a movie about her. I'm having a brain fart right now. Somebody probably know who I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, we had so much things going on, and our women being as bold as they are, and we have so many accounts in the Bible about our bold women. Brother Shemaiah, he brought out a scripture like maybe a couple weeks ago about the sister that cut off the guy's head, the Grecian head, Grecian commander head. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, Deborah. So, what I'm trying to say is we have to pay attention to these wicked holidays. So again, I just wanted to give you guys a little breakdown of who you dealing with. This white woman is wicked. I could have came on here talking about Mother's Day and this and that. Man, we know this thing is pagan. We know this thing is wicked. We know this about money. But let's talk about the white woman. Kevin Samuels was talking about the black woman, but he was talking about the black man at first. Nobody said anything when he was out here, clowning us. Then he started talking about the black woman, get sensitive. Then, everybody talking about white men, but nobody's talking about the white woman. All we can do is keep giving her names. Becky, Karen, I don't know. It's something else later. It's probably she got another name right now. But all we keep doing is giving her these names. You saw that white woman, Delphina. She looked all calm and everything. The woman got married at 13 to a Spaniard or another Esau. God knows what he was doing to this woman. He probably trained her because this is what they did to us. You know what I'm saying? So, Baba Kushai, let me get the book of Exodus, chapter 20, verse 12.
And this is the book of Exodus, chapter 20 and verse 12. When you got it, say come.
Done.
Exodus 20 and 12. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee.
Con. I mean, that's just, simple, to the point. All right. So again, this class is Mother's Day Rebuke. All right. The scripture just said, honor thy father and thy mother, that that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord. So you can't be out here mad at your mom because she a crackhead or your dad a crackhead, or your mom threw your dad out and he felt some type of way, so he ain't come around, and vice versa. He joined the army and lost his leg and like, guys, you're here. Okay. I understand, once you get a certain age, you can't carry that stuff. If that's the case, then you need to go back and beat up everybody that mistreated you from the time you was 5 till you was 25. I'm what am I 49 now, right? Getting old. And people still mistreat me. You know what I'm saying? I don't care. It is what it is. Just don't put your hands on me. You can say what you want to say, do what you want to say. Honor thy father, honor thy mother. Anybody got any problems with your father, your mother? You have the Day of Atonement. All right. Pray for them. Do what you need to do. It didn't say anything about you got to do things for them. You got to go take their trash out. But if they getting old, 80 something, 90 something, I get it. But you got to honor them because you may have kids. And if you ain't got no kids, then I'm not tell you. But honor thy father, honor thy mother, and your days shall be long. Okay. I know a lot of people who don't even do that. They just give their mom a card on Mother's Day, give them a shout out, don't see how their mom doing, or give their dad a card on Father's Day, which I don't even like, they don't even really celebrate that. I don't even know why they keep trying to front with this Father's Day. You know what I'm saying? But again, this holiday is a false holiday. It is a wicked holiday. It's idolatry. Okay. All you doing is worshiping other gods that was worshipped back in the day. Okay, we'll get into it. So again, everything has a beginning. All they did was just cover it with some chocolate and put a little some jimmies on it and little different things on it, little crystals, design it differently. But when you bite into it, you biting into a sandwich. Okay. So again, this holiday is wicked. It is no way, shape, and form a holiday that we need to pay homage to. Okay, guys? So, we have our own days, just like anything. Okay. And all these holidays that they do have, remember what I told you, it was started by Black people. More than likely, I'll probably get into the Memorial Day. Who started that? And then they stole that, America, and made it into their day. They had when you look at Memorial Day, that used to be Labor Day. That's where Labor Day was. And then they moved Labor Day all the way to September, and then they put Memorial Day in May. Like I said, I break it down whenever I think Memorial Day is the end of the month. So we probably do a class on that. So let me keep going. All right. So I got another video. I got 2 more videos, okay? This next video, it's gonna be about 3 minutes, okay? And this is gonna get into where all of this stuff started, and it's going to go back and give you a little history on it, okay? So, Salakia, give me a second.
This is the pink salt recipe that took me from 179 to 126 in just weeks. You know what the best part is?
In ancient Egypt,
All right, I got it. Give me a second. Okay. All right, here we go.
this. In ancient Egypt, the goddess Isis was considered the mother of all ancient Egyptians. She was also the goddess of fertility and mother. The ancient Egyptians believed that they were direct descendants of the gods, and therefore the ancient Egyptian mother was highly respected and regarded as a powerful figure. There were a type of dance associated with motherhood was the dance of the goddess Isis. Isis was a goddess associated with the motherhood and fertility.
and her dance was often performed during religious festivals and ceremonies. The dance involved the use of hand gestures and movements that were meant to mimic the movements of the goddess herself. In addition to this specific dance, there were also many other forms of dance that celebrated the beauty and grace of the female form. Women were often depicted to or in tomb art and other forms of ancient Egyptian art dancing and playing musical instruments. And this depiction was served as a testament to the importance of dance in ancient Egyptian culture. One way in which the ancient Egyptians celebrated motherhood was through the celebration of the goddess Hathor. Hathor was the goddess of love, music, and joy, and was often depicted as a cow or woman with cow horns. Her festival was celebrated annually and was called the Festival of Drunkenness, during which people would drink beer and dance in honor of Hathor. Another way that ancient Egyptians celebrated motherhood was through rites of mummification. The bodies of deceased ancient Egyptians and their mothers were mummified and given elaborate burial ceremonies to ensure their successful journey to the afterlife. In ancient Egypt, the role of motherhood was highly valued and respected. Women were considered the primary caretakers of children, were responsible for their upbringing, education, and well-being. Motherhood was seen as a divine gift, and the ability to bear children was considered a blessing from the gods. In Egyptian mythology, there were many goddesses who were associated with motherhood and fertility, including Isis, Hathor, and Nut. These goddesses were often depicted with symbols of motherhood, such as the cow horns or the solar disk, and were believed to protect mothers and their children. One interesting aspect of ancient.
Gone. So that's it on that. So basically, he sat there and he went ahead and explained, um where the original came from. And we all know about, Osiris and Isis and all them. She was crazy. All this thing, now mind you, we can get the scriptures, but we just paraphrase it. We was in Egypt, okay? We was under the Egyptians in captivity. That was the first time that all 12 tribes was in one place all together. And this is what they did. They went ahead and idolatrized us. They gave us all these little fake gods and all this other stuff. They took our culture and made it into some Kemet stuff and started creating all these things and images and all these different fake gods, and they the ones that started birthdays. Like a lot of this stuff started in Egypt. And as you can see, as we going in there today. Oh, Salakia. Oh, gotta turn my picture on. Sorry. Yeah, so as we can see, ancient Egypt, it pretty much messed us up. And we still gotta wear clothes and have symbols on it and all this other stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Because they knew what they was doing. And Americans know what they're doing. Americans know what they're doing. They take all the what certain empires did was they took all the stuff from Egypt and from this and from that, and they piled it on. That's what the Greeks did. That's what the Romans did. Okay, the Babylonians did it. You know what I'm saying? Certain empires they copied that whole thing with Egypt, and they were able to keep us, still chasing our dog tail. So this is why we're out here serving these guys, and it's not going to stop, but we're going to keep having these classes to go ahead and rebuke these demons. All right. And so got one more video just going to kind of elaborate what this heathen just said. All right, so give me a second.
Tell them, why should people join us on May 15th?
Well, if you're a person that is not willing to settle.
And this child.
How old is
Okay, so last video. Give me a second.
this girl? This girl is 46, and my body can do things today I couldn't even dream of as a child.
Imagine a love that transcends.
Here we go. All right, let me share it. Lock it. All right, here we go.
Death, a betrayal that disrupts. Imagine a love that transcends death, a betrayal that disrupts the cosmos, and a quest that shapes the beliefs of an empire. These aren't just elements of a gripping tale, they're the lifeblood of ancient Egyptian civilization. But why is this story etched into the walls of the greatest pharaohs? Why did this deity's following grow from a few empty shrines in Egypt to temples stretching to the far reaches of the Roman Empire? Why does it resonate so strongly with people from different times and places? And what happened to Osiris's penis? In this video, we'll answer all these questions and more.
Did it stop? Stop. Okay, Shalakia. Oh, that's because I have my face on Shalakia.
Welcome to the mysteries of mythology, the goddess Isis.
You see, they got a white woman up there, Lord in Christ. She used to be black, now she's white. I tell you.
Isis, or a sept in Egyptian, emerged from the Heliopolitan creation myth as the daughter of the earth god, Geb, and the sky goddess, Nut. Her story, however, starts not with the grand temples, but with modest beginnings. Initially, she was a deity of little mention, a name barely whispered in the oldest Egyptian records. It was in the fertile Nile Delta, a land lush and teeming with life, where Isis's worship likely began. Her name, meaning Queen of the Throne, was a direct reference to her power and status, symbolized by her iconic throne headdress. Scholars like Kurt Cesar and Henry Frankfurt have suggested that Isis personified the throne itself, with the divine authority to crown kings. But her influence didn't stop at the river's edge. As her worship spread to Greece and Rome, her name evolved to Isis, marking her transformation.
In Salakia, you see it was two white men in there, right? And then you see what it just said, as her name grew to Greece and Rome. Okay, so it's showing you right then and there, they had the children of Israel in slavery. And, and the beat goes on.
From a local deity to a goddess revered throughout the Mediterranean. But how did this once obscure goddess rise to such prominence? Among these divine tales is the story of Osiris, Isis, and Set, which begins in the heart of the Nile Delta. In the beginning, before the sand settled to form the land of Egypt, there were the gods. Among them were Geb, the god of the earth, and Nut, the goddess of the sky. When Nut became pregnant, the sun god, king of gods Ra, became angry. Ra had heard a prophecy from the god Thoth, the god of the moon, wisdom and knowledge, that a child of Nut would one day rise to become a ruler. And this...
Okay, Khan. All right. I don't want to show y'all the whole thing. I only can stomach so much of this. But again, you guys want to learn that stuff, you take the time out to get to learn a little bit of the Kemet. It's okay to learn it and understand where that BS come from, where Captain Ariala, we posted the picture during one of our classes that we just did, I think a couple weeks ago, about how the different empires, how everybody gets it from the Egypt. So understand, they get all of this Apollo, Nefertiti, what's the one chick name? Aphrodite, all these different names that they getting, it stems from Egyptian mythology. They never really teach that in school. I learned Greek mythology and Roman mythology, but mostly Greek. I learned Latin in school since the 4th grade. I learned how to say jingle bells and all this other stuff in Latin. I learned how to say something else in Latin. Listen, it's not a conspiracy. Okay. There's Latin on the back of the dollar. There's pyramids. There's a whole eye looking at you. There's a little owl in there if you get like a microphone. Salakia. If you get like a excuse me. If you get like a what is it, a magnifying glass, you see a little owl and stuff like that. That has to do with masonry, all this mason stuff. All this stuff, guys, it's an ingredient to get us to keep going. This is why we can't drive past the McDonald's if you over the age of like 35. Because we've been eating it forever. It got sugar and the hamburger and what is the McFlurry? Lord in Christ. I haven't had one of them over 10 years, but I still crave it. I don't know what they put in that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Whenever the McRib come, pause, if you're eating that, like these are all the stuff we was eating when the KFC came up with them honey chicken wings and stuff like that. That stuff was the bomb. Then they had the little hot wings. I don't even know if it was real chicken. We were teenagers. Then we get older, we still eating this stuff, and this is what they keep feeding us. They keep feeding us Mother's Day. They keep feeding us Easter. They keep feeding us Thanksgiving. Excuse me. So what we have to understand is this is what we're doing tonight. We're rebuking all this BS. All right. So all of this stuff stems from ancient Egypt and getting Israel to go ahead and follow other gods. Why is that? Because we're following the God. And everybody know that he's not here and we can't see him. So what the Egyptians do, oh, you know what? Man, we're gonna get these, we're gonna create gods. We're gonna start them off young. And we're gonna go ahead and put them in a school. Yeah, we're gonna do schools. I mean, the Rockefellers, these guys ain't geniuses. Come on now, stop playing. They did the same thing that they did back then. They indoctrinated, they propagandized. They what is it? Indoctrination. They use propaganda, and they use I think is what is precision programming or predictive programming. They did all these things to us, guys. Okay, so again, hopefully you can understand why we as a people get so tied up in other nations that we went into captivity under. Egypt did a number on us. Again, they idolized us to the point we cannot recognize the following holiday from a woman who had like 6 kids, and we know she was a wife to a slave owner, and we follow these strange pagan holidays for what? You know? So let me get a few more scriptures. Let me get Jeremiah chapter 7, verse 18. Baba Kusha.
You said Jeremiah 37 and 18.
No, Salakia. Jeremiah chapter 7, verse 18.
My bad.
Huh?
Chapter 7. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 7 and verse 18. When you got to say, Con.
Good.
The children gather wood, and the fathers kindle the fire, and the women knead their dough to make cakes to the Queen of Heaven, and pour out drink offerings unto other gods, that they may provoke me to anger.
God, this is what we're doing right now. So we making all what you do for Mother's Day, guys. You make your mom or you make your grandma favorite breakfast. You get the little crepes, you get the little French toast, get the little pancakes. You know what I'm saying? You take them to Golden Corral or you take them to Ryan's. I don't think there's no more Ryan's, but we'll see. You take them to what's that place called? Sizzlers. Man, they still got Sizzlers in California. Can you believe that? Unbelievable. They ain't nowhere else. I only seen them in Cali. But anyway, you take them to Sizzlers. Heck, they probably got TGI or TGI. What is it? TGIF? Yeah, Fridays. Yeah, TGIF. We go on to Denny's. Then we make the mom breakfast in the morning, right? Then we take her to lunch. Then we come home. There's some cupcakes. There's pastries. Always some dough. This is what we're doing, and give it to the Queen of the Heavens. Okay. And the Queen of Heaven, she was there for a lot of reasons. Why? Because of ISIS. Okay. All of this stuff started because the Egyptians went ahead and had all that time. They ain't have nothing else to do. They had slaves. You know what I'm saying? And I remember one historian was trying to say that we were paid. I don't know if y'all seen that or not. There's an account where historians said that the children of Israel was paid because they said they paid us in salt. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I mean, it was like one, maybe two historians, all right, that was saying that, that we were paid in salt and we wasn't slaves. Really? We weren't slaves? Oh, okay. So God just got that all messed up. He did all these plagues and stuff, and they wasn't abusing us, feeding us the crocodiles. That wasn't us. So that was the ones that was um getting paid hourly. But the other ones, I don't know. Like, what are they talking about? See, this is what I'm saying. When you guys do your research, you're going to run into these you're going to run into these speed bumps. You're going to run into these people. Just like with this Mother's Day stuff. Y'all should have seen all the stuff that was coming up. Like, Jesus Christ, they were really flooding the internet, with BS. It would have you believe that President Coolidge was like, hey, man, this is nice. I'm gonna go ahead and start this. Hey, honey, Ann Jarvis, Anne Marie Jarvis, I believe a spirit got put on her to go ahead and put that fire out. Nobody paid attention to her. She went after because President Coolidge's wife was the one that was like, hey, we should do this. They kind of got together and she didn't want it to happen. And we know about President Coolidge. What did this man do? Oh, my bad. I keep saying Coolidge. President Woodrow. President Woodrow was the one that his wife was the one that talked her into it. And then when she did it, she seen that they commercialized it. And also, if I'm not mistaken, President Woodrow was the one that showed that movie Birth of a Nation. That movie where everybody was blackface. And then old boy made a different version of it and he got blackballed from Hollywood. I don't even know where that dude's at. But you ain't gonna ever, 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 ever see him in a movie again. Because he did that. They didn't like that. And then he used Nat Turner. Anyway, so again, the children gather wood. Father, what they gathering wood for? To make dinner and stuff like that. We ain't got to do that no more because we don't live in a cabin. Okay. Or if you do, then hey, there you go. You got to gather wood. But we have what, stoves, we got microwaves, we got gas stoves, we got grills and all that other stuff. Same difference, guys. All right. And they make cakes to the Queen of Heaven. Who's the Queen of Heaven? Be whatever God they worshiping. Okay. At this particular time, as you see with the ISIS and everything, they trying to make a woman, they call it Mother Nature. You know what I'm saying? So they trying to get you to get out of your norm. So let me get because this is what Israel do. All right, so let's get Jeremiah. Let me get Jeremiah chapter 44, verse 17 through 22. Baba Kusha.
This is Jeremiah chapter 44, verse 17. What do you got to say, Con?
Done.
But we will certainly do whatsoever thing goeth forth out of our own mouth, but burn incense unto the Queen of Heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto her, as we have done. We and our fathers are kings, and our and our princes, and the cities of Judah, and the streets of Jerusalem. For them had we plenty of victuals, and were well, and saw no evil.
Fine, continue.
But since we left off to burn incense to the Queen of Heaven and to pour out drink of offerings unto her, we have wanted all things that have been consumed by the sword and by the famine.
Fine. And so like it right there. So as you see, whatever go forth out our own mouth, we're going to keep lighting incense to this queen. Our kings, our princes, city of Judah. This is what we're doing. This is what we're doing in the Black community. Like everybody keeps saying, oh, we need to come together. How are you going to come together? And we have like literally 40 different gods. You got Islam, you got Kemet, you got 5%er, you got Christianity, you got Black Hebrew Israelites, you got Hebrew Israelites, you got Israelites, you got what are they called? Individualites. You got all this stuff going on. You got Christians, you got woke Christians, you got somewhat woke Christians, you got almost woke Christians, you got, man, I think I'm a Christian. You got all this different stuff. And you know how we are as a people. We are very, I guess you can say, stubborn, but at the same time, we're very religious. So again, we plenty of rituals. We saw no evil in what we're doing. We're still burning incense. We went through this when we was in Egypt, when we got out of Egypt. What happened in the wilderness? Why we keep repeating the same thing? The Egyptians, boy, you still got brothers calling themselves Egyptians. And they was about the gayest empire. Let me think. Nah, I gotta give it to the Greeks and the Romans. They was the gay, but the third gayest empire was definitely the Egyptians. All right, they was first, but definitely the Egyptians is third. The Greeks and the Romans got them beat. Okay, the Greeks and the Romans. Well, I don't know about that. I might have to take that back because you know, they used to chase down their enemy and anyway. All right, so let's go to verse let's continue through verse 19 to 22. Baba Kushar. We almost finished, Israel. We almost finished.
And when we burned incense to the Queen of Heaven and poured out drink offerings unto her, did we make her cakes to worship her and pour out drinks offerings unto her without our men? Verse 20, then Jeremiah said unto all people, to the men and to the women and to the people which had given him to the answer saying, to giving him that answer saying, the incense that ye burn in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem, ye and your fathers, your kings and your princes, and the people of the land did not the Lord remember them, and came and not into his mind.
And verse 22.
So that the Lord could no longer bear because of the evil of your doings and because of the abominations which ye have committed. Therefore, is your land a desolation and a astonishment and a curse without an inhabitant as at this day.
So, you know, this is what we got to understand. We're going to continue to have abominations. We're going to continue to be cursed. We keep going around. You know, the new thing is the YN, right? I had to Google that. I didn't even know what that meant. I ain't gonna lie. I thought it was a whole game. I didn't know it meant, you know, young ninja. But anyway, hold on, Salakia. You know, so what is this? Sorry about that. Got all this stuff popping up on my computer. So, you know, we have to get out of these abominable holidays. We have to get out of these abominable days. We all know Mother's Day is wicked. We all know it. Yeah, when we were younger, it seemed cool and stuff like that. Ain't none of us have dads. And it's like, all right, so well, I can speak for myself till I was 13. But up until then, there wasn't no man in the house but my brothers. And you know, when we would go see our uncles and stuff like that. So I'm the only one out of, you know, like 9 kids that had a dad. All the rest of my brothers and sisters didn't. You know, they was around, but you know, it is what it is. The only one that had a dad. So with this Mother's Day, We all want to know where our dad's at, but for some reason, it's still a omen Father's Day. But yet mothers, get praised. They didn't have Isis was a woman. They didn't have, Andrew or whatever, and like when you look at the Kemet, she's like up there. Osiris and new all these different people. Everybody know Isis. Everybody know her. You know what I'm saying? So they knew what they was doing. Yeah, the woman is the feminine and she's beautiful and we love her and stuff like that. But we don't worship her. And that's all that is. That's all the Mother's Day is a freaking worship. And Israel is always doing some silly stuff. So let me get one more scripture on us being crazy. Let me get the book of Numbers, chapter 25, verse 1 through 3. Baba Kusha.
My bad, I was on mute. You said Numbers.
Come on. Oh,
What?
yeah, book of Numbers, chapter 25, verse 1 through 3. Baba Kusha.
This is Numbers chapter 25, starting from the top. And Israel abode in Shittim, and the people began to commit whoredom with the daughters of Moab. And they called the people unto the sacrifices of their gods, and the people did eat and bowed down to their gods. And Israel joined himself unto Baal Peor, and the anger of the Lord was kindled against Israel.
So again, we up here with Moab. These cats eat rat, bat, and cat. Moab is a Chinaman. All right, Chinese man. He eats everything. This guy's disgusting. You see what they're doing over there in Hong Kong and in China and in Laos and all those places where they going in the sewers and they eat. And I'm like, what is wrong with these people? Jesus Christ. I know they're a mesh pot, but God, man, it's disgusting. So we up here with them. Israel bold and shit them. Okay. And we up there committing all these abominable acts. And this is what happened when you guys go into these stores and you buying all this Mother's Day stuff. You committing all these abominable acts. Like I say, honor thy father, honor thy mother. And that's it. It's cut and paste. You know what I'm saying? Or they say cut and dry. Honor thy father, honor thy mother. What's so hard about that? Well, we gotta go get that Mother's Day. You ain't seen your mom all year. You know what I'm saying? You ain't seen your old man all year. Your mom need her grass cut. Go cut her grass. I used to drive all the way from freaking when I was stationed down here at Fort it used to be called Fort. I think they naming it Fort Bragg again. It was Fort Liberty. Now it's back to Fort Bragg, I think. But I used to drive all the way up there to cut my mama grass. You know what I'm saying? Because I would go up there on the weekends and I would go up there, sometimes my brothers and them couldn't cut it. When I come home on leave, I'm cutting their grass. They're old. Why can't I cut it? They let me live there. You know what I'm saying? They ain't let me go to every party. I'm still mad about that. You know what I mean? Missed out on a couple parties and they got shot up. So it's a good thing. But you know us, we like that foolery. And I was young. I might have missed. But anyway, no follow. But there's a lot of things that we can say about our parents, but they kept us out of a lot of stuff. And some of us didn't. Some of us lived in them streets. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. You know, I had to come in before the street lights came on, you know. But again, honor thy father, honor thy mother. We can't be up here chilling with Moab, eating them fried chicken wings and rice and gravy and the what y'all call in New York, the hero sandwiches, the chop sandwiches and stuff like that, you know. Um it's just crazy. So again, we've been doing this. There's nothing new under the sun. We just keep messing up. But there's really no excuse, especially if you live in New York. There's Israelites everywhere. All right, stop playing. But they're everywhere here in North Carolina now. But you live in New York. Come on now. You just don't want to do this. But that's like the Mecca of Israelites and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? But now I'm going everywhere. Georgia, they everywhere. You know, Texas, like everybody's, it's starting to be plentiful. So it ain't just New York, it's everywhere. And if let's say if it's meant for you to hear, we're not trying to get you to just listen to us. We're trying to teach you guys that listen, these holidays is what keep you in the Christian church. It's what's keep you away from y'all worrying about brothers having multiple wives. Y'all worrying about a woman being submissive. Y'all worrying about, oh, he's the head and I'm the helpmate. Oh, y'all worried about, well, where you going? Well, you always out here at camp. Well, I always gotta be with the kids. What? Hey man, listen, you gotta take that up with the Most High. Eve messed up. You know what I'm saying? Sin transgressed through her. So it is what it is. Enjoy your spot. We got our spot. You enjoy your spot. Stop arguing with the brothers of Israel about stuff that don't matter. You want salvation, follow the law, statutes, and commandments. You have an issue, go to the elders. Well, I don't see why I can't give my mom a cake on Mother's Day. It's no harm. Okay, so your mom been sick. She in a freaking old folks home. Why are you letting her stay there? Why don't you just take her? Yeah, but I ain't got the time. But you got the time once a year to give her a cake that's probably going to give her diabetes. That's why she's missing her foot now. You know what I mean? So again, we have to get out of this thing where as though we just can't get out of these traditions of man. Okay. And again, hopefully you guys understand that you know, Esau is the devil that the Bible speaks of, and that we are not supposed to be serving these holidays. All right. So hopefully that wasn't too long, too painful. I wanted to give you guys a little bit synopsis on you know this white woman. You know, everybody's keep praising this woman. She is wicked. She smiles. You saw how that little white girl looked, and the Daphne chick. She looked calm as whatever. She dissembled your ancestor and had them walking around like a crab. That seriously, one of the old ladies that could have been your great grandmother was sitting there with feces in her mouth. She disfigured. And from what I heard, the girl was 9. The rumor is she was chasing a girl and she threw her out the window. She looked out the window. The neighbors was like, "Oh my God, we can't believe you did this. What, y'all ain't hear the screaming?" She the first one. So this is DJ Delphina. She the first one that had a studio room, whereas though she had the mattresses up a wall and nobody heard nobody being tortured. Really? They knew what was going on. And all the sick people that was dying, they what happened? The people that was dying in these concentration camps, you know, they were burning them because they were sick. You know, Esau can't, they weak. So they was burning them. They wasn't working. They was just dying and sick. Okay. And so they was burning all these dead bodies, and ears and noses and lips was floating in the air, and they was landing on the people yards. So they seen this stuff. You know, I was over there in Germany. We went to these things. We heard about all this stuff that was happening. So people knew what was going on in that house. That's why she was under investigation. You know what I'm saying? They didn't care. And then when the little girl just happened to fall out the window, you know, they was like, "Oh, well, you know, it might be something wrong with her." Then she set it on fire and watched them burn. And they still ain't apprehend her. And then somehow she got to France. Were there airlines back then? Was there airline back then? You know, maybe it was Spirit. Maybe Spirit was back then and they got banned after they took her to France. But whatever the case may be, guys, you know, stop celebrating these pagan holidays. And hopefully you guys come back to the truth. And if you don't want to join a camp, you don't have to. Just follow along like I did. For years, I followed HOI. You know, I did all the feast days online. I did all that stuff. You know, you don't have to be, because I'd be seeing everybody say, "Oh, I was part of this and I had to get out and I was doing this and I was doing that and this and this." And okay, guys, we get it. You don't have to join a camp. But again, listen to what we're saying. We're putting out facts. We're not putting out opinions. Okay, we're putting out facts and we're putting out the truth. Do not keep celebrating these pagan holidays. The Most High will kill you. You see what he did in Jeremiah. You see what he did in what's the chapter and Numbers and stuff like that. And the beat goes on. Okay, so so basically, this is what we continue to do and follow the way of the heathen. And this is why I started this lesson with the unrighteousness of the white woman, because she is somehow um known for starting Mother's Day. And we know, like everything else that was patent or not patent during slavery, okay? So there was things that was patent. Remember, the first person that invented a car was who? So-called black man, right? But Henry Ford is known as the first person to mass produce cars. But that black person never got his credit for inventing a car. Imagine that. And so these people are well, again, they never gave us our patents and stuff like that. Like George Washington Carver, he never got all his patents. This man has so much stuff, it's crazy, right? And then after these people, they have no moral and they're not ethical people. Remember, 40% of white women own slaves. Let that sink in. And now they are Mother's Day progenitors, originators, although again, you worshiping a false god. So hopefully we get that this is a wicked holiday and it has no substance or doings of the Most High. Feast days, new moon, Shabbats. This is totally man-made. It's a money grab. So basically, I have some statistics right here. Let me show you real quick. See. Hopefully this whole thing goes. Let me see. All right. Can y'all see that? Y'all see that right there? Look at this, Israel. So 2013, 20 billion. 2014, it went down. And that's when what I think Trump got elected in, right? No, he got elected 2016. So you got all these different years. 2023, guys, $35 billion. And growing. Look at this. This is crazy. This makes no sense. This is unbelievable. But yet, we still worship these people. And in 2024, it's 33 billion. All right. And that's because eggs is like freaking $12. So yeah, eggs is like $12. So you know what I'm saying? And then you had Easter. So what I'm thinking is, because Easter, they spent like probably $2 billion on eggs, maybe $5 billion on eggs during Easter, that nobody had enough money to buy these bombs, something for Mother's Day. You know what I'm saying? So again, ladies and gents, daughters of Zion, brothers of Israel, let me get so hopefully you guys, feel edified with the class. And this is crazy. What's that? That's almost $2 trillion. You add all this stuff up, you know what I'm saying? It's about $4 trillion in the past 11 years that they made on this holiday called Mother's Day. So again, a filthy, wicked, dirty white woman was the one that started this. She got 6 kids. I ain't hating on her, she had 6 kids, but she was rich, and they keep calling these white slave owners philanthropists, agriculturists. They were slave owners. Stop playing. It's this guy, University of Duke. They sending my son there, right? He has to do a little thing. I didn't even know Duke was a real dude. I just looked him up. His name is Washington Duke. Real quick. This dude, Duke University, okay? This dude allegedly owned one slave. He owned a tobacco farm. Let that sink. The white man owned, it made me so furious. I don't even want to, like, after reading all this, I'm like, I don't even want to send my son. He owned one slave. She was 12 years old when he bought her. No, 9 years old. Her name was like Issa, a white woman. Then I read some other article. They was like, oh yeah, he owned 3 slaves. All of these were women. This dude was like 60 years old. What are you doing with a 9-year-old? And he said he was using them to help around the house. Oh, and then there's another article that said he didn't own no slaves. His name's Washington Duke. All right, his dad became, famous in like 1810. So let me get this straight. He had a tobacco farm in the 1800s, and he owned no slaves. So they had white Irish indentured slaves. Wow, that's amazing. This is how they hide history. You know what I'm saying? So again, I ain't trying to say don't send your kids to Duke University, but the point is they're always trying to hide, calling this man a philanthropist. We know that means slave owner, bootlegger, drug dealer. So again, this is what they do with these holidays. So pay attention to what you read and what you understand, because sometimes what you read, you may not understand it. And sometimes you understand something, you may not comprehend it. So again, it's always good to get like second opinions. Okay. And also on another note, such as Mother's Day, whatever, you ladies that got all these fibroids, stop letting these doctors open you up and cut you up and go in there and remove all that stuff. All right, ladies, go ahead and do the natural thing. Change your diet. Put the soda down. Okay? Put it down. There's no reason for you to have a freaking fibroid the same size as a freaking cantaloupe. No, it's not natural. Learn what it comes from. Starches, sugars, all this stuff y'all doing. Certain maxi pads y'all guys use has all this chemicals in it. Stop using these tampons and stuff. This is stuff you need to learn on Mother's Day. You know what I mean? So again, I think the brother named Rizza Islam, he's selling those, and I think they sell them also the cotton stuff, organic cotton maxi pads and stuff like that. I think they selling them online, but I know Islam, even though he's a Muslim, he has some good things going on. And he's trying to help his people. You know what I'm saying? So again, look to that, ladies. Look into it for your daughters who's about to come on their cycle, stuff like that. I just thought about it because it's Mother's Day and it's in my head. So again, we rebuke this holiday for what it stands for, how it started, and we rebuke Esau. Okay, for him up here lying like his woman is a freaking mother. Are you serious? You know what I'm saying? I read the book Flowers in the Attic, and I saw the movie. Oh man, they was eating that rat poison. Anyway, all right. So let me get the last scripture. Let me get the book of Ecclesiasticus. Salakia. Let me get the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12, verses 13 through 14. Baba Kusha.
Hey, before I grab that scripture, could I say something? You mind?
Go ahead, come on.
I just wanted to throw something because while you was talking, I was looking up slavery. We all know when slavery ended, 1865, right?
Right.
That ain't been nothing but 155 years. And I need y'all to understand that. That ain't been nothing but 155 years. That ain't been that long. I got a grandma, a great auntie that's 80 something. My grandmama 76. You see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So it ain't been that long ago.
Hmm.
Then right here, if you Google, it say the last state to end, y'all ain't gonna believe this. The last state to end slavery was in 2013.
God.
To abolish slavery. And guess what state that was? Mississippi.
Mississippi.
I just want to just throw that side note out there. Also like,
God.
but
Yeah.
what was the scripture?
Say again.
What was the scripture?
Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verses 13 through 14. But yeah, they brought that up. I remember that. I got out of the army like 2012, and that was like a big thing about that whole slavery thing. And it was just a lot of stuff going on back then. Because Obama just got out of office. Hold on. No, Obama was still in office. Yeah, he got out in 2016. But go ahead, Salakia.
I just wanted to bring that out just in case, there's a lot of people out there think that, oh, racism is dead and you can, all white people ain't this and there's some good ones out there, and for all of them arguments and all that stuff like that, I just wanted to throw a little information on it.
And kind, and to land me back on what the brother's saying, like I was telling somebody, don't. Okay. So we have to understand that they are not our friends. They stick together. I seen it with my own eyes. I thought white boy me and him was cool. And then some stuff happened when I was downrange. I mean, I was when they say downrange, that means you're in a war zone. I was in a war zone, some stuff happened, and yeah, they all stuck together. I didn't hear about it till like 3, 4, 5 years later. Matter of fact, a decade later, I was like, that was happening. It's like, oh yeah, man, I was like, so you didn't feel like you needed to tell me? Oh no, I mean, we handle it. I'm like, yeah, but we both the same rank, and these my soldiers as well, and they stick together. We don't. Those 3 cops in Memphis that killed that dude, allegedly about his girlfriend and stuff like that, um, they got off. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it's just so much stuff that's going on in the black community. And we get it, we in these last days, and it's so much trash, so much garbage. It's just crazy what's going on. But we all know this because it's prophetic, and we know the more it gets crazier, the closer to the end it is. So again, hopefully there ain't none of y'all kids out there being these YNs and being these crazy ladies out here twerking, going to Dubai, getting crapped on for a couple $1,000 and then fly back. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully that's not in our family. And if it is, we just pray for them, have them repent and come into this truth. All right, so let me get Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verses 13 through 14, Baba Kusha.
Like you. This is
Yeah, you went back on mute. Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verses 13 through 14.
my bad. This is Ecclesiastes 12, 13 through 14. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments. For this is the whole duty of man. For God shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil.
Gone. So again, Israel, if you out here buying cards, for your kid's mother, she's driving you nuts and she won't let you see unless you let her son or you let your son get her a card. I don't care. I got a toe in the door. Okay. So anything I can get some salvation for, I'm following these commandments. I ain't let nobody tell me nothing. I tell my kids, listen, we ain't doing it. You know what I'm saying? We ain't doing it. So when he with you, then it is what it is. And he's gonna know that this holiday is wicked. And like I tell my kids all the time, listen, you guys, Mother's Day is every day. You guys want something for your mom, let me know. Do some chores around the house, stuff like that. And we'll see. You want to get her some flowers and stuff. Just because I was like that. I just give my mom flowers and stuff like that and buy her, little gifts and stuff. I'm like, all right, y'all can work and earn this. But just don't once a year you want to send her something. And then the whole other 300 and some days, you want her to give you stuff. That's not how it works, man. You know what I'm saying? So, like the saying go, you're a child in America till you're 17. Then from 18 to 88, you're an adult. What's that, 70 years? You know? So again, this is what we're working with over here in America. All right. And so I ended on that. Hopefully, everybody was edified. Wasn't too long of a class. I had to dummy it down a lot, not dummy it meaning you guys are idiots, but like I had to cut out a lot of stuff, limited. There we go. Yeah, I'm ex-military. We say the craziest stuff. So when we say dummy it down, that means shorten it. So next time I say that. So Salakia. So we want to shorten it down. I want to where as though you guys can play this back for your kids and stuff like that. And I don't believe I used any vulgar, all right, because I write everything out. So again, hopefully you guys were edified. Um, it wasn't too much information, it was just right. So again, we talked about the wicked, evil white woman, how she's the devil that the Bible speaks of. She owned 40% of slaves. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy. That's crazy. Anyway, I'm still digesting that one. But and again, um, we like thank you for everyone joining the class. Hopefully again you got edified. And so we're gonna go ahead and do the Lord's Prayer in Paleo Hebrew. So bear with me. So everybody find the east. Do a little salute. Okay. Okay, give me a second. Go on. So go ahead, face the east. Go on. All right. I got my clubhouse. All right. So Abonai, Shabbat Shemayim, Kadash, Haya, Shemka, Aya, Malakwaka, Daba, Razatawaka, Haya, Ishbi Rasata, Kawa, Haya, Bi Shemayim, Na Lanawa, Lakam, Kayama, Wasalak Nawa, Shasabak Nawa, Kasalak Nawa, Chayanawa, Wala, Dabayanawa, Banawa, Aba, Hawashnawa, Ma Rakawa Laka, Shalakia, Hamalakwa, Wahala, Shalakia, Wahaya, Wahada Power, Layam Yam, Aman. God. All right. Getting better at this. Okay. Shalakia. And we're going to do the Lord's Prayer. And book of Matthew, chapter 6, verses 9. All right, so continue, face the east. All right. Our Father, which art in earth as it is in heaven, give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts. Shalakia, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. Yeah, Salakia. It looked like my internet had cut off for a minute. I'm sorry about that. So, without further ado, just want to say, Shalom, Shamar to everybody. Thank you for tuning in for, Tuesday night, Iron Sharpens Iron, the Mother's Day Rebuke. Just like to say, Yabashem Yah Shabarakatah. We got next, Death to
Shalom.
Shalom.
Family, thank y'all for tuning in. Tuesday night.
Yeah, I said I'm gonna let you see my face, man. It's always good to read for you, man.
God, I appreciate it, Doc.
Man, great lesson.
God.
All praise.
All praises.